Okay, I'm here with Teryon, and in the background you're going to see a little bit of gameplay from a free platformer called You Have to Win the Game, and it's a fun little game. I wrote a Steam review for it. I'll link that in the description, and so hopefully you enjoy that gameplay. But I'm here, back finally with the Salty Podcast. It's been a while, and today I'm going to be speaking with Teryon about something pretty important. Just wanted to talk about spending money on games and when it's wise to buy a game and when it's not, and just free-to-play models that a lot of free-to-play games have, and whether or not you pirate games. So we're gonna just be talking a little bit about that.
What's up, guys?
I've talked with Teryon a lot about this in the past, just casually, and so that's kind of why that's why I chose it as a topic, because I knew we would be able to really have plenty of content for this podcast here. My opinion on this is that I'm always gonna pay for the game. I have never pirated anything in my life, and it feels good to be able to say that, but I know that a lot of people are the exact opposite, and I know that some people argue that, well, what if buying the game doesn't fit my budget, or things like that, and that's where it kind of gets into a gray area, because what if you can run the game because you have a decent enough computer, but you can't necessarily afford to buy the game? It's just kind of a weird area. How do you feel about that?
Well, for me, I do pirate games, but not all games. In the pirating community, there is somewhat of honor amongst thieves. We try to encourage one another to buy the game if we like it. So we kind of use it as a demo, I suppose. But admittedly, I don't really do that a lot of the time. The bottom line is that if a company has made a game that I don't like a developer or publisher that's just known to be a piece of crap, like EA and recently Konami, I just don't buy the game ever. Even if I like it, I'm like, nah, I'm not giving these people my money. And I know that it sucks, because sometimes you can be in a situation where, the developer's cool, but the publisher's just wrecking it for everybody, kind of thing. But, that's just what I do. And there's also the issue with the budget. Like you said, just can't afford every game. And, I just pirate, buy what I can, buy who I want to support, and that's how I do it. I know some people are definitely not going to agree, but that's what I do, and I'm not gonna hide behind lies. That is what I do.
Yeah, for sure. And we've talked about this. I mean, I feel like my personal view on that is, if it is a decent game by a horrible publisher, maybe, if it does come to that and you don't want to support the publisher, I mean, I personally would just bite the bullet and buy it if I really wanted to. But in that instance, I would definitely do my research. I would watch review videos on it. I would look it up on all the review sites to make sure I was really willing to give my pennies and my dimes to the company that made the game. I guess that's basically just what it comes down to, knowing what you're purchasing, because people that just buy games willy-nilly and then complain that what they're getting is not good enough, I mean, they almost certainly could have found a review of it somewhere. I mean, Steam even has a built-in review system now. So, and I really like that. I review pretty much everything I purchase. And so I think the complaint that, this game is not what I thought it was, the review, the ads made it look better than it really was, I mean, that's not really relevant anymore, I don't think. Because, I mean, even if I just lost my train of thought. What I'm trying that's embarrassing.
All right, man.
But no, what I'm trying to get at is, even if there are no like review videos of this game, because maybe it's really an older game, or maybe it's just a really underground game and no one has reviewed it yet, you can still probably find a demo of it out there somewhere, or ask a friend something. So I spend money. Sometimes.
So basically, you're saying if you're gonna use the product in any way, you're definitely gonna buy it. That's what you're saying.
Probably, yeah, but I'm also gonna do my research.
Right.
So
right.
you know, I will be the guy who will watch multiple reviews and all of that, just to make sure I at least know what I'm buying. But if it's, I don't know, it's just really, like, this is why we're having this podcast, because it's really a gray area. Which is funny, because we're talking about should we pay for something or should we not. Because if I asked you, so there's a bag of chips in a store and you really want it, do you pay? You're just gonna grab it and run. I mean, at that point, it's not really.
$5 for chips.
Oh man. At that point, it's not really a question. You know, you have to pay for it before you leave the store. But because we're in such an online age, we can dabble in not paying for things and pretty much get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in the age of instant gratification. A lot of people, I see a lot of negative reviews for some of these free games on Steam, and it kind of surprises me, because they're like, well, I'm not saying we shouldn't have standards anymore, but if you're getting something for free, legally, you should take that into account. But that's just a side note. Let's move on and let's talk about, how much time do we have left? Oh, cool, plenty of time. Let's move on and let's talk about free-to-play games, as I was just talking about, and their business models. Great free-to-play games you've come across, horrible free-to-play games, and just microtransactions, things like that.
Well, for free-to-play games, I'll be honest, most of them are pretty bad, because as soon as I see a really bad microtransaction model, I already just don't even want to look at it. So I mean, I've got to look at the quality of the game, and then I've got to look at the business model, and if either one doesn't hold up, then I don't even want to deal with the game at all. And it's very difficult finding a game that has both. Usually it's the most popular titles that have both a good product and a good business model. I guess that's why they're the most popular title for a reason. But yeah, it's pretty rare. I mean, you'll just go on Steam, right, and you'll go to the free to play games, for example, and most of them are just really bad quality, or just try to make you pay to win as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's why, and I'm biased here because I love Dota 2, but I think that's why Dota 2 is so successful, because yes, you can spend money in it, but even if you wanted to buy a set for a hero, for example, you can just go on the Steam market and buy pieces of that set for usually 5 cents, and a set maybe is 4 or 5 pieces, so you end up spending 20 cents on the average set. And so 20 cents, that's less than a quarter, guys. That's very doable. And if that's not doable for your budget, then you're probably not a PC gamer. So that's why I think Dota 2 is so successful, because their business model is so amazing. And they do have a couple items out there. They're called Arcanas, and they're basically super sets for a couple of heroes, and they are $35. But even then, you can sometimes find them cheaper on the market. Usually not much cheaper, because Arcanas are extremely special. But anyway, the business model for Dota 2, in my opinion, is so all-encompassing and just very fair, and it doesn't affect the gameplay in any way other than just aesthetics. So I think that's why Dota 2 is really popular.
No, you're right. I do like the business model of Dota, because it's purely cosmetic. There's no pay to win. BS in it, and yeah, that's great. But when you look at it from a company's point of view, it's a lot more difficult to emulate what Dota has been doing because Dota already had a massive fan base before they even launched their game. Dota has a long history, and they already had a bunch of fans, and there was a lot of hype surrounding it. You know, they launched their game relatively around when MOBAs were just hitting the market, were still pretty much fresh in people's minds. So they had everything cornered, and other companies just won't be able to do that. They just won't have the same number of players that initially surge into their game. So I'm sure they would love to make their game purely cosmetic only and advertise that and market that, but I don't think it's viable for a lot of companies to be able to do that, and that's the issue, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about Dota 2 is it's by Valve, and so they already have a ton of money anyway, so they can
Oh,
afford
yeah.
to do what they're doing. They can
Gaben is
afford to do
super
what they're.
rich.
Oh man, I would love to tour that man's house. That would be so cool.
House?
I'm sure he's
He has a complex. He has like a giga flying fortress of doom.
probably that's probably more accurate. But I respect Valve and what they've been able to do with Dota, and I mean the internationals with the compendium. I don't know if any of my viewers. Well, I know for sure some of my viewers play plenty of Dota. That was a silly thing to say. I mean the compendium. They basically crowdsourced their entire the entire winnings pool for the international championship. I think that started on TI4, and the prize pool was like $10 million, and almost all, like probably 80% of that was crowdsourced. So they just have a stupidly loyal fan base. I'll be honest, I bought the compendium, so the winners got some of my pennies and dimes. But anyway, that was fun. I like this Salty podcast, and I'm glad to be back. This has been Teryon. This is the second time he has sat in on a Salty podcast with me. It's always more fun to talk with him than without him, so it was an honor having him on, and I hope you guys enjoyed.
See you guys later.
Now turn up.